You finally get your baby to sleep. Maybe it's nap time, maybe bedtime, and just when you think you can exhale, they're awake again. It's been 30 minutes. Sometimes they're calling out, sometimes just lying there wide awake, but either way, that stretch of sleep is over. It can feel frustrating, confusing, and like something must be going wrong, especially when the usual tricks aren't working. But these shorter sleep periods are incredibly common, and they're not always a problem to solve. Whether you're a parent seeing this firsthand or a professional supporting families, understanding why this happens is key to knowing how to respond. By the end of the video, you'll know the most common reasons babies wake shortly after falling asleep and how to make sense of it through a holistic, responsive lens. I'm Lindsay, Clinical Director of the Holistic Sleep Coaching Programme. We train and support sleep professionals around the world to work with confidence, compassion, and clinical clarity. If that's a journey you're on, there's a link below to book a free discovery call with our team. Now, when a baby wakes shortly after falling asleep, whether it's during the day or in the early part of the night, it often raises questions. These shorter stretches of sleep are common in infancy and don't always indicate something is wrong. Sometimes they're simply a reflection of the baby's sleep needs in that moment. Other times, they give us helpful clues about things like sleep pressure, regulation, or even development. In the evenings, this is often referred to as a false start, where a baby appears to have settled at bedtime, but then wakes again not long after. During the day, it might look like a short nap that ends sooner than expected. As sleep coaches and professionals, we don't assume these wake-ups are a failure of sleep. Instead, we learn to interpret them, to ask what might be influencing this, and what's the most respectful and effective way to respond. Let's walk through 6 of the most common reasons babies wake after a short stretch of sleep, whether that's 30 minutes into a nap or just after bedtime. Number 1, the sleep pressure was too low. If a baby hasn't been awake long enough or their day hasn't included enough stimulation, their biological sleep pressure might not have built high enough to sustain a longer period of rest. They may fall asleep easily, but the drive to stay asleep just isn't there yet. So they wake again, often quite alert. We need to look at how active, engaged, and regulated the baby has been, not just how long they were awake, to assess whether sleep pressure was truly sufficient. 2, they've had enough sleep. Not every short sleep stretch is a disruption. Sometimes that 30-minute nap is exactly what the baby needed at that moment. This is especially common with babies who have lowest total sleep needs or they have frequent naps. If they wake up calm, alert, ready to go, we don't need to chase longer naps or coax them back to sleep or force more sleep. We're always reading the baby, not the clock. 3, false starts at bedtime. This is one of the most frequent patterns we see. If a baby falls asleep at bedtime, then wakes again 20 to 40 minutes later, it often happens when bedtime is too early in relation to the rest of the day, especially after a long or late nap or a quiet, low stimulation afternoon. The body treats that first stretch more like a nap than a transition into nighttime sleep. So rather than pulling bedtime earlier, the solution here is often to move it slightly later, just enough for sleep pressure to peak while keeping that wind down responsive and calm. 4, stress or discomfort. Sleep and regulation are deeply connected. A baby who's had a dysregulated day, perhaps with lots of stimulation, separation, or rush transitions, may fall asleep but not stay asleep. Their nervous system is still switched on, and as soon as sleep lightens, they wake. This can also happen with discomfort from teething, reflux, illness, or even a subtle environmental stressor. Supporting emotional regulation is essential here, not just adjusting sleep timing. 5, developmental disruption. Sleep tends to become lighter and more variable around key developmental stages, such as crawling, standing, or bursts of language. During these stages, we often see changes in both nap length and nighttime sleep quality. The brain is busy and sleep reflects that. It's usually temporary. The goal is to support consistency and co-regulation and let the sleep pattern settle again once the developmental stage integrates. And finally, sleep onset mismatch. There is almost no supportive parenting activity that is problematic per se. Can babies develop a preference for how they go back to sleep? Of course they can, just like us. Many years ago, Thomas Anders found that some babies have more self-regulatory skills to go back to sleep without assistance than others. The ones who needed more help were dubbed the signalers, and the ones who could often go back to sleep were called the self-soothers. Importantly, this was not something they had learned. It was innate. This is protective, not problematic. It's rooted in a baby's instinct to seek safety and proximity. Over time, building more consistency around sleep onset and environment can help, but we approach this gently with responsiveness, not pressure. Now let's look at a few quick examples that bring these ideas into real-life context. First, let's look at a 10-month-old who is taking a 2-hour nap at 3 o'clock, then goes to bed at 7. They fall asleep easily but wake again at 7:30. Alert, playful. Here it's likely that the body wasn't quite ready for nighttime sleep. Sleep pressure was still low after that long, late nap. In this case, we might shift the nap earlier or shorten it, or both, and push bedtime later by at least 30 minutes or so to support more consolidated sleep. What about a 6-month-old who naps mid-morning, sleeps for 30 minutes, and then wakes up happy, alert, ready to interact? There's no distress, no apparent fatigue, no disruption to the rest of the day. So while the nap was short, it was likely sufficient. No changes are needed here. Not all short naps are problems to fix. Finally, what about a 9-month-old who has just learned to pull to stand? Naps are shortening, there are more frequent early night wake-ups. This is likely linked to the developmental stage. The brain is processing new motor skills and sleep is lighter as a result. The focus here is on support and consistency, an opportunity to practice standing in the day. The pattern usually restabilizes once that milestone has integrated. What all of this shows us is that short sleep stretches aren't inherently negative. They're part of the bigger picture. They help us understand how a child's sleep pressure, rhythm, regulation, and development are working together, or not quite lining up. As holistic sleep professionals, we're not looking to eliminate every wake-up. We're looking to interpret what's happening beneath the surface and respond with clarity and care. That's what makes support truly effective and what sets responsive, evidence-based coaching apart from rigid advice. If you're on the path to becoming a sleep coach, or you're already supporting families but want more clarity and confidence, we'd love to support you. Book a free discovery call using the link below. We'll explore where you're at, what kind of mentorship might help, and whether the holistic sleep coaching program is the right next step for you. Thanks so much for watching, and if you found this useful, go ahead and check out an earlier video all about short naps. It's a game changer. You can find it in the description below, and see you on the next video.